Tyrants of the Underdark is a game we released in 2016, and we're re-releasing it in a few months' time. It sees you take control of one of the lords of the Underdark, vying for power and control of this malevolent, horrendous place filled with monstrosities and monsters and bloodthirsty creatures. In the game, that's represented by the big map you have of the Underdark. So the game is a combination of two fundamental board game mechanics. It's a deck building game where you're going to have your influence and power to recruit more people to your cause, and then to send your minions to do your bidding on the map. And you then have your area control on the board in front of you. So you're going to be fighting with your opponents, trying to get control of the major towns and regions throughout the Underdark, until eventually, at the end of the game, one of you is the Tyrant of the Underdark, with the whole
box. That's right on the box.
It is. So fundamentally, that's the rough game. It is a deck building game. So you're going to use your influence to build minions into your hands, into your deck, playing through the game, expand your deck out. But unlike a lot of deck builders, having the board in front of you as well means that from the very start of the game, even when you haven't got a lot of the fight or power as it is in this game, you're able to expand your reaches out from the very early. So whatever you do through the game is going to help you towards your end goal.
Okay.
Sorry, take a minute.
It's all good.
So every game when we set up, you pick 2 half decks to make a full deck. In the original game, there were 4 half decks. And in the new version coming this year, we're including the first expansion in there as well. So you're going to get 6 decks in total, which gives you, I'm not sure how many, but a lot of combinations for your game. So we'll do that now.
Okay, so we can pick any of these?
You can. So for your first game, I don't think you guys have tried it. I would recommend the Dragons and the Drow decks.
Okay.
These ones are a bit simpler. When you get to some of the more complicated decks, you're going to have more difficult mechanics that you're going to have to try and navigate through the game.
Okay. Matt, do you want to be Dragons or Drow? You get the pick.
Well, we'll take these. So these go into the market over here. Yep, just drop it on there. And then we will start the game.
Ooh. Oh, so for everyone has the
everyone has them. So this will form your market that you're going to buy cards from.
Ah, right. Okay, gotcha. Some nobles and some soldiers in my hand. Ooh.
I'm not sure chill out's the right term, Matt.
Got mushrooms. Mushrooms, crystals, blue, and purple. The chillest colours. Oh, chat still can't hear you, Matt. So if you want to have a fiddle with that, then other Matt can tell me about these tyrants.
Sure. So as I touched on, there are 2 key currencies in the game. You have influence, which represents your thrall over the empire, how much respect you have, and that is what you use to buy cards, basically. You then have power, which is your military might. You're going to use that to send your minions down onto the board to fight for different locations, like so, but also to assassinate your opponent's minions.
Oh, okay.
Which is where the fighting, the backstabbing, the treachery comes in. Anyone who played enough Gale Force 9 games knows that we love a little bit of backstabbing and treachery. So what I can do is, if you want, I'll run you through the quick first
Yeah, sure.
to show you how that works. So
I put my hand down on the table so he can see what I've got, or is that
perfect? That's fine.
Okay,
If you put it on this this little play mat here,
oh yeah, good.
then Tabletop Simulator likes that because it can ping it all for you. So you've got 3 nobles and 2 soldiers.
Okay.
The nobles with the little web symbol, that is your influence. So nobles are going to go out there, they're going to spread the word of your drow house and encourage people to join you. So what you can do is you can use that to purchase cards in the market deck.
Have I got 3 influence to spend?
You've got 3 influence.
And I could buy, and I presume the cost is on the top.
The cost is on the top there, yes, correct, the top right-hand corner.
So would I presume it's wise for me to get more drow rather than have a little dabble in dragons, or should I get dragons?
Well, this is the choice you've got to make. So the dragon deck often sends you on a route towards one of the victory conditions. It will encourage you to do the same thing throughout your deck.
Okay.
Whereas the drow, generally what you get from them is a lot of stats for the cost.
Okay. So I might get this, so I can click recruit and have this blackguard here.
You can indeed.
Boom. Oh wait, where am? Oh, I'm sat over here. I put my things over on your seat. Wait, can chat hear you now? We should ask. We should quick break. Can chat hear Matt? Still no Matt. Continue, Matt.
So what I'll do quickly, I'll run you through the cards. So you just bought the blackguard, so I'll try and run you through his card.
Yeah.
So in the top left-hand corner, you have his name. And underneath that, you have the type of card he is. He's a malice card. That's not too important with these decks, but in some of the other decks, they focus on having cards of the same type.
Cool.
In the bottom right-hand corner, you have 2 statistics. You have the 1 and the 3.
Mm-hmm.
So the 1 is how many victory points he'll be worth when he's in your deck at the end of the game.
Hold on, I'm going to very quickly just hoik this over so that we can have the card on stream. There we go. Sorry, because it's in the wrong place. There we go. Right, what was what were the symbols again? Real quick, so chat at home can see the
top left is his name. Just underneath is the subtype, and then in the bottom right you have the 1 and the 3. So the 1 is the victory points that the card is worth at the end of the game.
Gotcha.
And the 3 is, there's a rule in the game called promote.
Mm-hmm.
And promote lets you remove cards from your deck. They're going to be worth generally more points at the end of the game, but you can no longer use them.
Gotcha.
So when I mentioned before, there's lots of avenues of victory. It's one of the reasons that I love playing the game so much is you can go down different paths. You can try and go for this real economy-focused, big deck, promoting units out, getting your inner circle to get you loads of points into the game, and not have as heavy a focus on the map as you would do. Or you can go for a more military type victory, where you're going to try and control the board and earn the victory points through the game in that way.
Okay, that makes sense. Then I've got an ability, I presume, down here as well.
Yes, and that's the main thing. So everything has their abilities. So for this guy, if we're looking at him, he has a choose 1 ability. So he has 2 different options. Every time you play him, you can either get 2 power. So he's twice as good as a regular soldier. Mm-hmm. Or you can assassinate a troop.
Okay. So
assassinate is how you're going to primarily kill your opponent's units to push them off the areas that you want to take control of, or force them back when they're trying to attack you. Normally that action would cost 3 power, but the blackguard can just do it. He can just straight up kill one of your enemy's tokens.
Seems useful. I'm glad I bought my blackguard of malice.
He is a great card.
Okay. Oh well, I'm brilliant at this game. I'm making great choices already.
I think you basically won now.
I'm well on my way to being the tyrant of the Underdark. But I bought him, so he went in my discard, I presume, didn't he?
Yeah, he goes in your discard. So then, when you run through your deck, you start with a deck of 10 cards, and once you've run through that, you'll draw back through. As with most deck builders, it's the simple concept we all know and love.
I'm just very briefly going to restart OBS. I won't be a second. I feel like the computer waited for the second day just to really mess with me. Okay, right, we're here. Can you hear you now?
Wait, are we on? So
Yeah,
wait, people couldn't hear us.
I just had to turn it on and off again. It's all right, I'm back.
We're in proper. We can move the camera around to see that all my sick plays that I'm pulling off here. It's turn 1. I've already bought literally the best card in the game.
Why have you bought so many nobles? What's up with that?
But all my nobles are going to go. I presume I spent them, didn't I?
Yes, you press the button just in the.
And I can just. But what about my soldiers?
Your soldiers. We haven't used it yet, have we?
No. Tell me about my soldiers.
You know what? We've actually skipped a step here, which now Matt's back. We should do. We rushed into it. I got too distracted by the technical issues. So before we go into the buying the recruiting units, what we need to do is actually finish setting up the board. So every player, starting with the first player, needs to take 1 token from their supply, which is from your troops token. And you need to select one of the black locations. So you see you've got the white and the black locations on the board. And you need to pick one that you want to start in.
I'm going to pick Skullport because it's the easiest to pronounce.
It is. The pirate capital. So you'll notice down the board you've got these 2 sets of purple lines running through. So in a 2-player game, you'll just use the middle section. In a 3-player game, you'll use one of the sides of your choice. And in a 4-player game, you'll use the entire board.
Okay. Where are the mats starting?
I'm eating some nuts. The drow's choice.
Yes, that's very good, Matt, but...
Okay. Right, so, time for me to do some stuff, right?
I'm going to make you start in Chednazard.
Well, I think we need some conflict, so I'm going to start over in... Where's this?
I would have liked to have started in Skullport. It's my favourite British seaside town.
So, Tom, you've got two power left to use. So if you look at your player board just in front of you, you can see that for 1, you can deploy a troop. So what we get to now is the rule called presence. Presence, how the game really works. You have presence by having a troop token on the board, or by having a spy. We've not got spies yet. If they turn up later, I'll explain those. But for now, you can place 2 troops, but they've got to be connected to where you start.
Okay. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking that's full of points.
That's full of a lot of points.
I'm going to go here.
So you've got to, because you're at Skullport, you've got to move up through these smaller slots.
Oh, I see. Okay. So like that. Gotcha.
So now we can see you're branching out towards the labyrinth on your way to Arimikoth. And I've got a short way there, so we might end up having a little bit of a fight there, maybe.
Oh.
That sounds... I mean, if there's anything I know about the Drows is that we're very peaceful and we'll never do anything bad. So now, that was my whole go, right? And I can discard all my things.
Yeah.
And at L.
Yeah. Time for me to get.
Tell us about all of your Drows.
That's a drow joke. Okay. So, I keep forgetting where I'm sitting. I'm here, aren't I? Okay.
You're over here.
Of course, I'm in Zorlaren. How can I forget? All right. So, I've got a pretty similar set of things. So I've got my nobles and my soldiers. So I think I'm going to play a bunch of nobles to do some stuff. Get some coins, right?
Get some coins. Buy a big dragon.
It's not a bad idea. So, Okay.
Well, mercenary squad looks pretty chunky. Look at that. Deploy 3 troops. That's huge.
What can I buy? Well, I'm going to buy that. That costs 4. I can do that, I think.
It costs 3 is at the top, I think.
Oh, okay. It's the... All right, done. I'm going to buy a mercenary squad because that's the kind of conquesty person I am. And does that go into my discard?
You discard yet?
Fabulous. And then I'm going to put my nobles into there as well. And I think that's probably me. I could deploy some. Could I do anything else?
What else you got? Show us your hand.
I've got a soldier card and a noble card. What's the
You
deal?
can have a boy. Put a boy on the board.
I can have a boy on the board. All right, let's put a boy.
Put a boy on the board.
And then do I discard this last card, or do I keep it in hand?
Discard that last card, yes.
Oh, I should have bought something more expensive, shouldn't I? I should have bought a dragon or something.
Should have bought the cleric of Laugzed.
Oh, he's one of my top 10 clerics. All right. No worries. Okay. I'm gonna put a boy on the board. Put a boy on the board. Da, 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 da.
What happens if you try and put a boy on this space where there's a little token?
That's a great
So
question.
you need to assassinate that troop first.
Oh.
Right. Okay, I see. So I can't do that. So instead, I'm going to be just over here, I think. I'm Lacerelin, you be mine. I've written my name through you like a bad stick of rock. I'm kind of doing all my classic Dungeons and Dragons quotes today. That's what I decided. We all remember where we were the first time you bumped into Driz Duerden in a forest in Baldur's Gate 1 and didn't really know who he was and tried to kill him, and it went really badly.
Yes.
I was just like, well, I'm going to kill you then. And it's like, oh no, I don't think I am actually. Right, fabulous. Well, that's my go. So we're back to Mizrim.
It's over to me then. So I have got 3 nobles and 2 soldiers. So I have 3 influence. Sadly, I can afford a dragon. I can afford a black wormling.
It's only a little one though, isn't it?
It is, but better a dragon than no dragon.
It's true.
That is a famous thing that people say.
We're going to be struggling against, I mean, like, you know, what have we got? People with bows. That's a dragon. That's going to mess us up.
It's only like a baby dragon, so
It's a little one.
See,
I'm
I
gonna
told
put
you.
this guy.
Nothing to worry about after all.
And then with my 2 soldiers, I see you heading down to what looks like a Welsh village, but I'm sure isn't.
The spooky Welsh
I'm going to
village.
get in there first, Matt.
What?
You've-
What? I told you that Lacellerin was mine, home of Lacellery, for La Soup and La Snacks.
I've
La
got
Dip it in La Hummus.
a bunch of nobles. And that means I can buy the cleric of Laugzed because he's a beefy fish boy and I want him.
Which one? There's 2 of
Boom.
them. Oh, there's a
then-
recruit button. I should
And
have
then
myself.
I can and then I can place a little token in the labyrinth. Now I noticed that at the bottom of the thing, so that it says after doing all this stuff, gain VP for your site control markers.
Yes. So
These big ones.
these big ones. So when you take control, you have 2 types of control in the game. You have control, which is where you have more troops than anyone else has troops. So if you have 2, 3 other people have 1, you have control. If you do that, you take the control marker and you put it on your, if I use this one for example, you put it on its control side, you add it down here, and every turn you would get 1 influence. If you had total control, every turn you'd also earn the number of victory points as well.
Right. I see.
And total control is filling up all the spaces?
Filling up all the spaces with your troops, having no one else there, and no spies.
Yeah, don't get anything for having total control of Ched Nazen though, do you?
I don't. But spies I'll touch on briefly now. There's a spy master in the market in case anyone wants to get into the ultimate backstabbery. Spies are a limited resource. You only have 5 spy tokens next to your board. You can place them in any location on the board, and it counts them as having presence. So if you want to nip in somewhere and start a new foray, if you wanted to, head up to Mendelbransen, so you could start taking over from the north while everyone's scrapping down the south, you could use a spy to get you presence up there.
And then you could start putting troops in there.
Yes. Or if you really wanted to get Skullport, you could jump in there, assassinate the Vienna troops, and get through that way. So they're a really mobile way to get around the board.
Lovely.
That is my turn.
What you done?
There's some. I placed a. All I did, I bought a big fish boy, and I moved up towards the labyrinth. Where I'm gonna hang out.
All right. So I now draw my other 5 cards, and I've got 3 knobbly bobs and 2 soldiers. So I'm gonna spend my 3 knobbly bobs on. I think I'm actually gonna. Ooh, I'm gonna get the infiltrator because it's like a spy but better. Boom. And then I'm going to play my 2 soldiers to add a couple of, you guessed it, soldiers. And I'm not content with this situation over here.
Oh no.
Yeah. The fight for Larasalin begins now. None shall pass Le Scarlin. None.
That was good.
That's my fight.
That was like something out of a movie.
It's like we were in a film, right? Like we're all in a film. It's unbelievable.
Well, the D&D film, it's filming now. I'm sure if you reach out, you're able to get spots.
I think they did a perfectly good job with the last D&D film with Jeremy Irons. Leave it alone. It's done.
It's a real classic, that one.
I'd love to say I hadn't already watched it this year, but I would be lying.
I think I've only seen it once. Once was enough for me, but it's nonetheless a classic.
Is it one of those? Is it one of those so bad it's good, or is it so bad it's bad, or is it just good?
It's not great.
I think it's a cinematic tour de force, and everyone should make the effort to watch it.
I did promise myself not to have any controversial opinions online over the weekend, and I've just already ruined that with my my negging of the Dungeons and Dragons film. Although I will say that Jeremy Irons, I stan a legend. He gives it 110% of everything he's in. He doesn't matter. He gives it everything, and sometimes it's clearly way too much, but he's still there giving it. So, shout out to Jeremy Irons. If you're in the chat,
in the audience.
If you're in the chat, I hope you like Lords of the Underdark. Tyrants of the Underdark. Sorry.
I think it's over to me now. So I've got 4 nobles. I'm exuding my influence all over the Underdark.
It's a family show.
And I've got to stick with my dragons. So I think the green wormling.
That's what I call a dragon.
That's a proper dragon.
It's getting there. And then I've got 1 soldier. So I sadly haven't got enough. I can't assassinate you over here, but I can block you off for heading down into another tongue-twisting name location.
I was going to say, I love that you're like, I'm not gonna do it.
I'm not gonna try. So one thing I will know, I saw some people in the chat asking about it. The tokens that we're using is a change for the new edition. So in the last edition, we had plastic miniatures. And one of the overwhelming bits of feedback we had from people was the game was just priced a bit too high.
Right.
So what we've done, we've tried to make it more accessible this time. We've replaced the plastics with cardboard, and that's allowed us to bring the price point down
Nice.
a bit, and let us include the Undead and Aberrations expansion in the box.
Nice.
So you're getting more content. It doesn't change the game. It doesn't make it any less playable. It's just a slightly different component change.
Yeah, and I mean, let's be real, if you are playing a lot of Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that, chances are if you really do want some miniatures of elves and stuff to whack in it, you could probably rustle some up from somewhere. I'm all for this. I think it's unless things are integral to the design of a game, I think it's really nice to be able to just keep the cost down, keep the boxes from ballooning out too much, and focus on content too much, much more than just having like another box of stuff that is making things too rare. I guess it affects the number of you can produce in the first place, so things got to print more easily and all that stuff. And,
it changed everything. It's we've had amazing feedback over this game. It's one of my favorite games that we make. It's one of my actual favorite games at all. And so just getting it into as many hands as possible is just what we want, because it's such an amazingly fun game. And to go with that as well, we're also releasing it in 6 languages this year. Ooh. So we have English, and then French, German, Italian, Spanish, Polish, and Portuguese, all coming out kind of late summer this year.
Wonderful. Want to see my cool turn?
Yes. Hang on, I've just got my wife doing commando maneuvers across the... No commando maneuvers today. So that's fair enough. No, don't do commando maneuvers. Don't. It'll expend too much energy. She had a vaccination the other day, so you gotta take it easy. She won't do.
You're gonna say, gotta look out. As we all know, the vaccination does make you into a commando capable of terrifying feats.
Yeah, she can't be stopped.
I like that we've got both angles of Matt Cam at the moment. Which is much
nobody at home can see, but you can see my wife very sneakily moving across the room and answering her phone to bring me a cup of tea. That's how they do it. This is how the pros do it. You have a sequence of tiny pulleys and strings, and then wives that very carefully crawl across the floor just out of camera shot. Tom has at least 4 wives behind him right now. You just can't see them. One with lunch, one for a little massage between shows. It's just how we roll. It's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
She's gone now, I think. Unless she's hiding under something.
You can never trust commando wives.
I had to text her saying, please can I have a cup of tea? I am really struggling. It's my first text at the start of the weekend, so we're doing okay.
Look, I came this close to getting this big token on my go. I could do an assassination, I could do some movement, but I couldn't do both. I'm sad about that.
No, soon. Well, I'm going to have one last turn of this, and then we're going to have to wrap it up, I think, because I got to make everything work.
You've got to unbreak the system. You've got to have everyone's voices transmitting clearly through the air.
I could just refill this if okay, I've done it by hand now. I'm being spoiled by this mod, really. I'm so used to having to do everything myself in TTS.
It is fantastic.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, I like it when you got all the buttons. It's kicking off. This is kicking off. So I've got deploy 3 troops. I can play that, right?
Yep.
And then I can also play this and this. So is that a total of 5 troops now?
That's 5 troops you can got down, yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to assassinate you with 3 troops.
Well, so this is the drawback with the card you've got. Mm-hmm. It takes 3 power to assassinate, and the mercenary squad specifically states 3 troops.
I see.
So it's great for its cost, but it's not quite as flexible as having the straight 3 power.
Tricky.
Okay.
It's tricky, Matt.
All right, well, I'm not going to do that just yet. What I'm going to do first then is I'm going to play my infiltrator. I'm going to place a spy somewhere. And if another player's thing is already there, then I can place another thing. So where do I want to be?
You gain a power, which is interesting.
Oh, I get a power, yes.
And then, didn't you have 2 in your 2 other power cards in your hand?
Yes.
That's enough to serve up a bit of murder.
So I'm going to pop into Skullport for no reason other than that I like the idea of spying on you, Tom. And then
the spy doesn't take up one of the troop slots; it just sits alongside it.
Oh, really?
Then out in Skullport.
Well, then this spy is going to Arundel. Da 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 da. Tiny spy of Arundel is ready. So I gain my power. and then I'm going to get another 2 power to play my mercenary squad and deploy 3 troops. And because I have a spy now in Erendil, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. Da, 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 da. Bit of an anticlimax there. I probably could have done something cooler than that, but Erendil. Erendil.
Was it 3? It was 3 power to assassinate something to make a troop. So here's what you could have won. If you had a smart, young, and powerful brain like me, and probably chat as they were screaming at you through their monitors, you could have had this one out the way, and then you could have just powered on. Yeah. And you could have got the points. Oh no, but there are people in there. There are people. Oh well. Well, you know what?
Can we play one of the other simple games with just shapes and colours? Because I'm not so good at the ones with the numbers and the people. And that's Tyrants of the Underdark, the 2nd edition. Very cool to hear a publisher bring a game back in the 2nd edition with cardboard bits and less plastic and more content in the box for people who just
cheaper rather than more expensive.
Cheaper and with
is
more
always
stuff.
A good move.
It's great. Love to see it.
It's a winning combo.
This looks fun. I've got a penchant for deck building area control.